Hey guys, this is grade 6 module 4 lesson 32 and this is just the problem set. So make sure to try and do the problems on your own first, then come back and check my video for answers and for explanations. There is another video, the grade 6 module 4 lesson 32 exercises, and that's where I go over several examples and really break down how to set up your table, how to make your graph and evenly distribute your numbers. Gives you a lot more teaching than just checking with the problem set and the explanation. So if you know you need that, go back and watch that video first, then come here and see this one. But again, try to do the problem set on your own and then check with mine and figure out if you've made any mistakes, what mistakes you made, and how you can fix them so that you can be self-learning using this video, not just getting answers. All right, let's do it. All right, so for each of these questions, we are going to have to do a few things. We're going to have to write an equation. We're going to have to determine the independent and dependent variable, and then we're going to have to graph it. And we're also going to fill out the table, and that's going to make making the graph easier. So number one, Caleb is started with 25 bucks. So no matter what, he's going to have this plus 25 on there, right? So I might just write that down as a plus 25 for dollars, right? Then he's going to get $10 to the cookie jar each week. So that means for every week, there's $10. So what are we doing with our weeks? We are multiplying it by 10. So that's going to be 10W, right? So our equation is going to be our total cost, right? Total cost is going to be found by multiplying our weeks by 10, 10W, and adding $25. Does that make sense? So what is dependent and what is independent? All right, so the weeks is what we are putting into the equation, right, to find our t, and the t is depending upon the number of weeks. So weeks is our independent variable. So I'm going to write my w here in x, because if you remember in the other video, if you watch the other video, we always want to put our x coordinate first, which is our independent variable usually. So independent variable is weeks, and then our dependent variable is going to be our t. And so now I'm just going to fill out the table. So to fill out the table, I went 0 weeks to 5 weeks. It did tell me that it was less than 6 weeks, which would be 5 to 0. And at 0 weeks, no matter what, we're starting with $25. But at 1 week, we're going to do 1 times 10 plus the 25 to get 35. Then 2 weeks is 2 times 10, which is 20, plus 25 is 45, so on and so forth. Now I already have my ordered pairs, my x and my y. I'm just going to fill out my graph. So go ahead and fill out your graph. So this is how I did mine. I labeled it Caleb's money. My x, or independent variables, on the bottom, my weeks, 0, and I ended up going to 6 because there's that many lines, even though I'm doing less than 5. And my money, which is my dependent variable, my y-axis, I went by 15s. Again, we need to evenly distribute because these are evenly distributed as well. The lines are. If I went by 25s, you know, I'd be at 75 by here, and then what do I do with the rest of this? I'm going to crunch my graph down here. If I go by 10s, I'm only going to get to 60. Right? And so I went by 15s, and then I'm just going to kind of get really close to where each number is. But you'll see I'll land on 45, I'll land on 75. So it is going to work out, I think. So here we go. 0 is at 25, which if I broke each of these lines, right, from 15 to 30 into 3 pieces, there'd be 5 apiece. So I'm just going to go 2/3 of the way up, which is about here. And then at 1, it is 35, which is 1/3 of the way up from 5, right? And then 2 is 45, which is right on it. 3 is at 55, so that's 2/3 of the way up from 45, or 1/3 down from 65. And then 4 is 65. I think I just said something wrong a second ago, but just ignore it. And 5 is at 75. And now, if I want to, I can connect my line here by just doing something like this. Pretty close, didn't go all the way down there. I think I can move it, actually. Let's try it. There we go. That's cool. So there's my graph. What do you think? How did you divide up your numbers? Hopefully you did that before mine. Did you do it differently? And if so, how? And which way do you think worked better? Do you like my way, dislike my way? Again, opinions are great. So moving on to the next one. Don't forget to be doing these and trying these before you see my answers. That might just mean pause the video, try it out, then come back and watch. So my equation that I'm writing on this is t equals m plus 6. It's $1 per mile, so that's just m. Writing a 1 here doesn't help me at all because m is 1m. And no matter what my miles are, it's going to be times 1, which will be itself. So I can just write m, plus my flat fee of $6. So that means m drives this equation to find t, therefore m is my independent variable, t is my dependent variable. So now fill out the table. So the table, I put m on the left side, which is going to be my x coordinates, and then dependent variable is total cost, which will be my y coordinates. So just check the numbers here, and then fill out your graph. So here's my graph. Does it look like yours? I titled it taxi costs, or cost. Miles, or x coordinate, the independent variables on the bottom. Total cost, which is my y coordinate, or dependent variable, is on the left. And I went ahead and rewrote each of the numbers from my table as ordered pairs to just kind of help me go 0 to 6, 1 to 7, 2 to 8, 3 to 9, so on and so forth. Then I drew my straight line. What do you think? So I'll give you a second to make sure that you've done yours. It is paused. Go ahead and write your equation. I wrote the equation total cost, or T, equals 5 times however many weeks, so $5 per week, plus the $10 she started with. So T equals 5W plus 10. What'd you get? All right, now fill out your table. What is your dependent variable and what is your independent variable? Remember, X is going to be your independent variable and your dependent variable, or the outcome, is going to be your Y. So here is my table, and I went ahead and did my graph, or part of my graph as well. My independent variable, which is my weeks from 0 to 8, my dependent variable, or the outcome, right, which is, so you, again, independent input, dependence the output or outcome. 10, 15, so on and so forth. So to divide it, I needed to get to 8, and there was only 6 lines. I went by 2s on the bottom, because it needs to be evenly distributed. And since I needed to go from 10 to 50, or at least get to 50 or more, I tried to, then I just went by 10s, and then I know that halfway is 5 between. So this would be 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, so on and so forth. And then I just put on my dots. So my dots end up being in a line starting at 10 going up, so this does not pass through 0. But now I can draw my line if I want, and it still does make a straight incline. And number 4 is your last one, so go ahead and try it, pause the video, and then check back and see if you got what I got. So I did it first by 4s, this time I did it as 3s, and I like the 3s. It does start a little higher. So 4s would work, 3s would work, you could do 5s, but then you have a pretty big guess between. With 3s, you only have to cut it into thirds, and then those thirds in half into 6 to get you 50 cents. But my equation was T equals 1.5A plus 10. So that's $1.50 an apple plus the $10 of potatoes. My x-axis, my independent variable, goes here. My dependent variable, my total cost, will be my y-axis for my ordered pairs. And then I just labeled it produce money and plotted my points. And there you go. So there is the problem set for lesson 32 of grade 6 module 4. Hopefully that helped. If you have any questions, message me on Schoology, comment or like, and I will talk to you later. Adios.